السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. गुज़श्ता दो जुमों से पहले मैंने हज़रत खलीफतुल मसीह सानी के खुतबात की रोशनी में
Prior to my last 2 weeks' Friday sermons, I delivered some sermons on the topic of practical reformation. I related some causes which proved to be impediments in the path of reforming practically. I also said that it is necessary to eliminate these causes if we, as a collective Jamaat, as a collective community, are to attain that highest standard of reformation. It was also made clear that the obstacles in practical reformation are stronger than the obstacles of reforming one's doctrines. I shall speak further on this subject today. We should always remember that the purpose and objective of the advent of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, was not only to correct doctrinal beliefs. In fact, the promised Messiah ﷺ has said most clearly that to connect and to form a relationship between man and God, and to reform the actions of man, are essential, and this is why the promised Messiah ﷺ came. To discharge the mutual rights of each other was also one of the purposes of the coming of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace. Now all of these things are reliant upon actions. By performing virtuous deeds, one discharges the rights due to God, and also the rights due to other fellow human beings. I have mentioned these things numerous times before. The promised Messiah ﷺ says that merely uttering a great amount of eloquent words will be of no use until there are corresponding actions to support those words. Then the promised Messiah ﷺ says, strengthen your actions greatly. Actions are the adornment of the faith. If a person's deeds are not appropriate and correct, then he has no faith. Thus, if we desire to be useful in the mission of the promised Messiah ﷺ and help to fulfill it, then this will only then be possible, when each and every single one amongst us tries our level best to remove those impediments in the path of our practical reformation. This is because it is this practical reformation, when is brought about, will draw others' attention towards us. As a result, we will become helpers and aids in fulfilling the mission of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace. So thus we should consider what we need to do to fulfill this mission. For a great and huge weapon in our triumph and victory is also the weapon of practical reformation. It is only through our self-reformation that strength and capacity will develop within us, through which we can reform others. Our purpose of triumph and victory is not to subjugate others or to attain any worldly gains. In fact, it is to draw the hearts of the people of the world to submit to Allah the Almighty and His beloved Messenger, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, if there is no difference between us and others, then what need would the world have to listen to our words? So therefore, we need to make an effort to strengthen our practices. Alongside strengthening our deeds, we need to be steadfast upon maintaining them. Rather than being impressed by others, we need to impress the world. Today, when the world is immersed in materialism and worldliness, we need to keep an eye upon our condition and state to a greater degree than before. Whilst keeping an eye on this, we need to break free from the aura of the world. And we need to also free the world from this satanic state and condition. Thus we will be able to discharge the rights due to Allah the Almighty. And also the majority of the world can also do so. However, there are many stumbling blocks on this path. For this, we must cultivate such a strength and vigor which can eliminate these stumbling blocks. In order to confront and resist the world, we would have to devise some rules and regulations, which each and every single one of us should apply and then abide by, and should ensure that we remain firm and resolute in following it. For this, we would have to sacrifice our inner self, and we would also have to form the necessary environment. Until this is attained, we can never be successful. As I have already said in one of my previous Friday sermons, today the world has come closer together and joined as one. It is as if it has become a global village. Evil and vices that are committed even thousands of miles away has entered into each and every home through the electronic media. And various acts of goodness and also virtues which are performed in countries even thousands of miles away also enter into people's homes. If we observe this collectively, then the percentage of evil that is being spread is far greater than the percentage of good being spread. Further, as I have mentioned on numerous occasions in the past, the standard of good and bad has now changed. Something that is considered a vice in a Muslim society, in a worldly society which is practically in a religious society now, is considered as nothing bad. What we may consider to be a vice is considered by them to be something ordinary. In fact, it is now being considered as something good. Hazrat Musleh Maud has given an example that dancing is part of the Western culture. During the era of Hazrat Muslih Maud, may Allah be pleased with him, this was not as common or widespread, or one would have to go to specific venues for this. Nowadays, through the television and the internet, this is everywhere. Within the homes itself, in the name of entertainment, some homes have become as if dance houses. At some family functions at the home, people dance. This is particularly true at weddings. In the name of happiness and entertainment, indecent dancing is carried out. An Ahmadi home should be completely free from this, and special attention must be given in this direction. Nonetheless, I was speaking with reference to Hazrat Muslih Maud. Hazrat Muslih Maud says that now dancing is a part of Western culture. However, he says that previously, in the past, people considered it to be something bad. However, slowly but gradually, this has been adopted by people. First, men and women would dance together holding each other's hands. Then they started dancing closer up with their faces next to each other. And then the distances were removed and they got even closer. So as I stated, now, on the name of dancing, there are no bounds to the indecencies. Wearing little clothes so that their nakedness is exposed, they dance on the television. Why was this spread? This was only for the reason that those who were committing and spreading the vice, despite the clamor of the world against them, saying that this is something which is bad, they persevered upon spreading the vice, and they had no care at all for what the world said against them. Eventually, a time came when they triumphed. Now we observe even on the television in Pakistan, a Muslim country, in the name of entertainment and freedom, indecencies can be observed, as well as nakedness. As such, vices, as a result of its perseverance, has overwhelmed and submerged and dominated over the minds of the people of the world. So in order to confront and resist this, huge planning and sacrifices are required. If this is not implemented, then we can never succeed in our objectives. So therefore, there is a need to greatly deliberate, reflect, and make efforts. We need to adopt those things through which we can eliminate these hurdles and obstacles, by utilizing which we can cultivate the strength and power to eliminate these obstacles, as a result of which we can confront and resist the vices. Hazrat Muslih Maud, may Allah be pleased with him, has explained in an excellent manner how to achieve this. And he explains that if these qualities are cultivated within man, it is only then that he can succeed truly. There are three traits here. The first is the strength or faculty of determination and intention. Secondly is having the correct and full knowledge. And the third is the strength or faculty of actions. In fact, in essence, there are two fundamental traits: the faculty and strength of intention and determination, and the faculty and strength of actions. The trait that is placed in between these, that is having correct and full knowledge, has an impact upon both these fundamental faculties. Having suitable and proper knowledge has an effect upon the faculty and strength of intention, and also upon the faculty or strength of practice. The first point that should be borne in mind is that the two fundamental traits are the strength of intentions and desire, and the strength of actions, which have an effect and impact upon our practical reformation. For this, we need to strengthen our faculty of determination. we need to also overcome and eliminate the weaknesses in our faculty of practice. If we have a firm resolve and determination to desist from any vice, it is only then that we can truly avoid committing them. And the strength of our resolve and determination will only then be useful when we remove the shortcomings in our strength of actions. Without this, reformation cannot be achieved. When we analyze this from the perspective of the status and condition of our strength of determination, then we see that where the intention and resolve is concerned, we do not have that many weaknesses and shortcomings. Because in terms of intentions and desire, the majority, in fact all of Ahmadis, wish to develop taqwa, righteousness, and also purity and sincerity. They desire to disseminate the literature of the Jamaat, and they also wish for the love and nearness of Allah the Almighty. Hazrat Muslih Maud has explained this in the following manner. These things prove that our strength of intention and desire is strong and powerful, yet even then the results do not emanate suitably. So therefore, out of two possibilities, one must be true. Either it is this, that the true strength of determination and desire, which is required to motivate an action, is not found within us. In contrast, the strength of determination and desire required to reform doctrinal beliefs is found within us, and this is why our doctrines have been reformed. However, because for practical reformation, strong resolution and determination is required, it is not found within us. And it is for this reason that we cannot be successful in reforming our actions. Further, we would also have to accept that there are shortcomings and flaws in our servitude to God. The claim of our servitude to God also contains flaws and weaknesses. It is for this reason that our faculty of acting upon that intention has vanquished. And that faculty of action is not accepting the effect of the faculty of intention and desire. Or those supports which are required to accept that influence of one's intentions, they have weaknesses. In this condition and situation, until we do not rectify that faculty of actions, that faculty of actually acting upon our determination and desire, we will obtain no benefit whatsoever. For example, there is a student who attends a lesson in his class, but he cannot remember what he is taught. Until his mind is not properly rectified, however much he is taught, however many lessons he is given, however many times he is made to study, or efforts are made in this respect, he would not be able to remember his lesson or what he is taught. So therefore, in order to rectify the mind, the causes need to be pinpointed so that correct guidance can be given. Or one would have to alter the manner in which he is teaching the person. In Pakistan, it is traditional to memorize and learn everything in a parrot-like fashion, whether he understands what he has learnt or not. And in this respect, they are able to become experts. Some memorize entire books. However, when they then transfer into the Western educational system here, because here the methodology is different, everything that is studied has to be understood. So thus, it sometimes happens as such, that a student who had low grades in Pakistan comes here, quickly assimilates in the system and achieves high grades. Or sometimes those who have high grades there come here and achieve low grades. In Rabwa, when as a result of certain obligations, our Jamaat schools had to be separated from the government educational board and had to be linked with the Aga Khan educational board. As a result of the methodology and system being different in the Aga Khan educational board, many students said that the grades we achieved previously in the government educational board, we now cannot achieve with the new educational board. We cannot understand why this is so. So therefore, sometimes it is not just an issue of the state of the mind. Even if one's mind is completely fine, he may still not be properly able to remember or memorize or study something. There, it is not only a matter of the mind being weak, there are other issues involved. But if in this state, even the mind is weak, then it becomes extremely difficult. One would have to alter the manner of teaching. Here, for children with weak minds, there are special schools where they are given special attention. Sometimes these very weak-minded children become very successful in their education. So nonetheless, the practical methodology also can cause a lot of grief and worry and can lead to failure if it is not adopted in a proper manner. So therefore, whatever practical methodology has been devised to achieve anything, the mind has to be channeled in accordance with it. Without this, success cannot be achieved. So therefore, we need to look in this direction for practically reforming our condition. We would have to see that why, through our intention and desire to do good and perform virtues, why is it not having an effect upon the part of our mind, which when is affected, commences the practical reformation? We need to make an effort to remove such hindrances, which are proving to be obstacles in this path. Then we would also have to look at the standard of our servitude to God. We would also have to see that in our pious endeavors, what degree of good intentions, sincerity and dedication are involved. So thus there are two types of impediments that prove to be obstacles in the path of practical reformation. One is a shortcoming or weakness in our faculty of intention and will, and the other is the weakness in our power of action. But as has been mentioned, there is another factor in between both, which has an effect upon practical reformation, and that is the weakness in knowledge, or shortcoming in knowledge. This has an impact on both sides. We see in practical life that intentions are formed based on one's knowledge. Similarly, actions are also carried out depending on knowledge. The example of this can be given as follows. If a person is unaware that there is 1,000-strong army about to attack his house, but instead all he knows that he is to be attacked and perhaps by just a handful of people, so he would prepare accordingly. However, if he knew that the attackers consisted of 1,000-strong force, so then his preparations would be different. So thus shortcomings emerge as a result of a lack of knowledge. And the possession of knowledge strengthens the faculty of determination and intentions. In the same way is the example of when a person makes an effort to lift something up. He assumes that the object is light, but it is in fact heavy, and he is unable to lift it. However, once he is able to fully gauge that the object is heavy, he will expend more strength and power and might. He will alter his method of lifting it up, and he becomes successful in lifting it. So on the second attempt, he did not gain any new power or strength, but as a result of coming to have the proper knowledge, he utilized his strength in the proper way, and he utilized the proper method, and he was successful in what he was trying to do. So therefore, the God-given abilities and faculties are already present in a person. When those faculties are utilized in the proper manner, then work can be easily performed, or it can be done in a better manner.
इल्म की वजह से होता है.
And this is achieved through knowledge. If faculties are not utilized in the proper manner, even in ordinary matters, one can incur suffering and harm. So therefore, this very principle needs to be applied here in order to utilize the practical faculties and to remove the practical weaknesses.
यहाँ लगाने की जरूरत है इसी सूरत में. और इसके लिए अपने इल्म को वसी करने की जरूरत है.
For this, you need to expand your knowledge.
ताकत का इस्तेमाल करके
This is so that one can utilize his strengths and faculties properly and be enabled to overcome his weaknesses.
हज़रत मुस्लिम मौऊद रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु ने एक बात ये भी बयान फरमाई.
Hazrat Musleh Maud has also mentioned something else.
में एक कुव्वत
He says that Allah the Almighty has infused a power of assessment and analyzation in every single person. Through this, he is able to compare and determine between two things. This power of analyzing and assessing decides how much strength is required to carry out any task.
सारी ताकत इंसान के हाथ में नहीं होती.
Because all of man's faculties and strengths are not contained in his hand, but are in fact preserved in his brain or mind. So when on the first attempt he fails to perform a task, as in the example of the person who could not lift a heavy object on the first occasion, then the brain or mind directs for more power to be utilized, and as a result it brings about ease in the task.
मुआवजा भी
This power of assessment and analyzation is developed through knowledge, whether it is internal knowledge or external knowledge.
अंदरूनी इल्म से मुराद मुशाहिदा
Internal knowledge means observation and experience.
बाहर की
External knowledge means voices that come from externally and affect and influence a person. The example was given of the army that was to attack from outside.
करने के लिए बाहर की
External voices alert a person,
लेकिन ये जो वजन उठाने की मिसाल दी गई थी, इसके लिए कुव्वत मुआवजा ने
However, in this example of lifting the object, the power of assessment and analyzing has to decide itself. That on the first attempt you considered the object to be lighter. If, for example, it was 10 kilograms, you considered it to be 5. And therefore you utilized lesser strength in order to lift it up. So now you use 10 kilogram force and you would be able to lift it up.
इस असूल को अगर सामने रखा जाए,
So if this principle is kept in view, then when a person, in order to reform his actions, makes an effort,
मुआवजा ये फैसला करती है
then the power of analyzing and assessment decides how much strength is required in order to make hard efforts.
होने की वजह से
Sometimes, as a result of not having proper knowledge, a person cannot reform his actions.
मुआवजा
The faculty of analyzing and assessment, as a result of a lack of knowledge, does not inform and alert him properly of how much strength and power is required for practical reformation.
कुव्वत मुआवजा इंसान को
So therefore, the power of analyzing and assessing alerts a person.
अदम इल्म की वजह से उसे गाफिल भी कर
As a result of a lack of knowledge, it can also make him negligent. The power of analyzation and assessment will only then come into motion when one has knowledge of something. When one has knowledge, it will alert him of how to use it. If one does not have knowledge, then a person would not be able to perform that task.
इल्म की वजह से जैसे ही
Further, as a result of this lack of knowledge, or as a result of not having suitable knowledge, sins are committed by a person.
जब ऐसे लोग
So as a result, a child who is brought up in such an environment where there are people who constantly and habitually commit sins,
ये जिक्र
whenever they meet or in their gatherings, it is mentioned that one cannot really live in the world without lying.
को जिक्र करना चाहता हूँ कि यहाँ
Here I would like to also mention that there are those who come and apply for asylum here. Goodness knows why it has been entrenched in the minds of the majority that without concocting long-winded false tales and accounts, their case will not be successful. Whereas I have said on manifold occasions that if a statement is given in brief and honestly, cases are passed successfully more quickly. Many such examples are before me. Numerous people have informed me that they said a brief statement and spoke the complete truth, and the cases were passed in a very short period of time. For this, it is sufficient to say that mental torture is no longer bearable. You are always fearful of your own life and the life of your children. There are many concerns. Children cannot study at the schools. In the schools, they are harassed. So there are numerous such things. The majority of cases are passed successfully just upon these few statements. So one should always remain firm upon being truthful and should also have tawakkul, trust in God. When these false accounts are related before children, and it is said that we falsely said this and this before the judge, then children will also believe that there is no sin in lying, because they would think that if they did not lie, then their case would not be successful or they would not give them benefit. The concept then arises that it is falsehood alone that is the key to all successes. And one begins to think that who even speaks truthfully today? A child begins to ponder that in this current day and age, success can never be achieved without lying. So all of these things come into the children's minds after listening to their elders. And their knowledge remains limited to this. Lying is nothing bad, is what they think. What will be the result of this? It is evident that when they grow up, wherever such a child will have the opportunity to lie, he will seek for a decision from his faculty of assessment and analyzation. So this faculty will immediately give him the decision that there is more danger here, so therefore lie, there is no harm in that. There is similarly backbiting. If a child sees everyone around him backbiting, then when he grows up and he has an opportunity to backbite, and he considers that if I backbite, it will give me benefit, so then the faculty of assessment and analyzation will say to him that everyone is backbiting in your environment. If you also backbite, then what harm will it be? So as such, it is a sin, but he thinks it is not a major sin. In a previous Friday sermon, I have already discussed this, that in the practical reformation, one huge obstacle is that people assume that there are some major sins and there are some minor sins, and by performing those minor sins, there is no harm. Once a person commits those kind of sins, it becomes difficult to desist from. In such instances, the faculty of assessment is present in him, but as a result of having the wrong knowledge which has been given to him from his environment, a person does not muster enough strength through which he can overwhelm sin. As in the example I gave of the person trying to lift the object, lesser strength could not lift up the object. However, when the mind or brain sends signals for more strength to be mustered, then those same hands, using more strength, was enabled to lift that object. However, if a person's power of assessment did not send the signal to the brain, he would not be able to lift the object. This is the same principle applicable in eliminating sins. Man does possess the strength to eliminate sins. However, when he is confronted with sin, and the faculty of assessment says to him that what is the harm in committing this sin, for it is a small and trivial sin, which will give you more benefit if you perform it.
मिटाने की ताकत नहीं भेजता.
So then, the brain or the mind does not send a signal to eliminate a
कह
sin.
सकते हैं कि कुव्वत इरादी खत्म हो जाती है.
Or we can say that strength of determination is removed and the person commits a sin.
गोया इस्लाह अमाल के लिए तीन
As such, for the reformation of actions, three things need to be resolutely acted upon. One is the strength of intentions and desire. The other is having an abundance of knowledge. And the third is mustering the strength in one's actions. This is also necessary.
कि इल्म की ज़्यादती दर हकीकत
Also remember that the abundance of knowledge is in fact a part of the faculty of intentions and determinations. Because with the increase in knowledge, the strength of determination also increases. Or it can be said that one is led to perform the necessary action.
इस्लाह के लिए
The summary of all these things is that we require three things for practical reformation.
ताकत
First of all is the strength of determination, that he should be convinced or prepared to perform huge tasks. Then there is the abundance of knowledge, so that the person's faculty of intentions and desire can continuously realize what is right and what is wrong, and he should support what is correct, and should place immense pressure and emphasis on performing this. A person should not lose the opportunity by being negligent.
कुव्वत अमलिया की ताकत
And thirdly is the strength of practice and action, that our limbs and all our parts should act in accordance with our intention and determination. Not the bad intentions, but in fact the good intentions, and should not reject the command of the intention.
अमाल की
These are the fundamental techniques and means to avoid sin and to reform actions.
तरह बनाना होगा.
We would have to form our faculty of intentions and determination to be like that highly disciplined, brilliant officer who gets his instructions followed in accordance to his strengths and principles and does not let anything come in his way.
हमें छोटे बड़े गुनाहों की अपनी मनमानी तारीफें
We should not form our self-concocted definitions of what are major and minor sins, and we must prevent this from overwhelming us.
हमें उन नाकामियों से महफूज रखेगा जो कुव्वत मुआवजा
Correct knowledge will save us from those failures which are produced as a result of the errors made by the faculty of assessment, the examples of which I have given.
छोटे और बड़े गुनाहों के चक्कर में
A
इंसान
person becomes embroiled in looking at things in terms of major and minor sins, and the opportunity to reform is lost.
के अदम इल्म की वजह से
Sometimes it occurs that as a result of a lack of knowledge, the faculty of intention cannot even decide what a person should do.
जब कुव्वत
Similarly, when the faculty of practice will be strengthened, then it will readily accept even the slightest signal from the faculty of determination.
मुस्लिम मौद ने एक नुक्ता ये भी बयान फरमाया है
Hazrat Musleh Maud has also presented the following point, that here should also be remembered that the weakness in actions are of two types. One is tangible and the other is intangible.
तो मौजूद हो
Intangible is that a person may possess that power, strength or faculty. However, as a result of his habits, rust has come about.
एक लंबे अरसे के अदम इस्तेमाल की वजह से
Tangible is that as a result of a long period of a lack of use, it becomes like something which is dead.
और उसे बैरूनी मदद और सहारे की
It requires external help and support.
गैर हकीकी मिसाल
The example of intangibility is of such a person who may have the power to lift a heavy object of 20 kilograms.
काम करने की आदत ना होने की वजह से
However, as a result of not being in the habit of performing such work, when he is asked to lift up this weight, he becomes perturbed and worried.
अगर अपनी तबीयत पर दबाव डालेगा
If such a person puts pressure upon himself and upon his mind, he will then be able to be successful in this task.
ये है
The tangible example is that of a person who has not been in the habit of performing that work for a long period of time. and thus that faculty of strength no longer even remains within him.
10-20 सेर से ज्यादा या किलो से ज्यादा वजन उठाने की ताकत नहीं रहती.
The person would not have the strength to lift more than 10 kilograms of that weight.
मददगार देना होगा.
So thus, in order to lift heavier weight, he would have to be helped externally, or other means of his reformation would have to be devised or adopted.
उसकी कुव्वत इरादी को बढ़ाने के लिए और उसकी कुव्वत अमली को बढ़ाने के लिए.
In order to strengthen his intention and to strengthen his actions.
खजाना मौजूद ना
So thus, when a person does not possess an abundance of those powers, strengths or faculties, external means would have to be utilized in order for that task to be completed. This is also the same state of the reformation of actions. For different people, different remedies are required. The same remedy cannot be used for every single person. For some, they need to increase their strength of determination, whilst others need to develop the strength of practice. Whilst for others, where the burden is very heavy and it is beyond their capacity, then external help is required, and the society has to play its role. The Jamaat has to play its role, and the auxiliary organizations need to play theirs.
अपनी अमली इस्लाह के लिए इन बातों की तरफ तवज्जो देने की जरूरत है.
So therefore, for a practical reformation, we need to give heed to these points. We need to cultivate these qualities. We need to strengthen our faculty of determination. We need to strengthen our faculty of practice. This is so that we can fulfill the purpose of the coming of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace.
अल्लाह ताला ने जो हमें
And this is so that our God-given faculties and abilities do not discontinue as a result of rust creeping in.
करूंगा
Inshallah, I will explain this further in the future.
कि इरशादात पेश करता हूं.
At the end, I present a statement of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace.
और अपनी कुव्वत
To desire reformation from Allah the Almighty and to expend your faculties is actually the way of the faith or belief.
बस अल्लाह ताला से इस्लाह चाहना.
So therefore, to desire reformation from Allah the Almighty is to in fact strengthen your faculty of determination and desire through prayers.
कुव्वत अमली का
And to expend your strength and qualities and faculties is a demonstration of the faculty of intentions and practice. When this demonstration reaches its highest level, then this is actually faith and belief. And then a person will do everything purely for the sake of Allah the Almighty, and he will constantly heed to obtaining God's pleasure. In another place, the promised Messiah alayhi salam stated, simply demonstrate your practical example, which should have such a brilliance that others will accept it. Until it contains a brilliance, no one will accept it.
जब तक तुम्हारी अंदरूनी हालत में सफाई और चमक ना होगी,
Until your internal condition does not have brilliance and purity, no one will be convinced by you. Until you do not demonstrate the highest morals, you will not be able to obtain any status or rank.
इसी के लिए बहुत मेहनत
Therefore, to reform our practical state, huge effort and constant vigilance are required.
अपने अहमदी होने के
This is so that every single Ahmadi can fulfill the objective of their being an Ahmadi. In accordance with the wish of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, you can be made into true Muslims. May Allah the Almighty enable us to do this.
नमाज़ों के बाद मैं एक जनाजा भी पढ़ाऊंगा.
After the Friday prayers, I will also lead one funeral prayer in absentia, which is of Mukarram Master Mashriq Ali Sahib, M.A., who is of Calcutta, India. He passed away on the 3rd of January 2014 at approximately at the age of 80 in Qadian. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He was ill for the last 1 year. His son took him to Japan to obtain treatment. He recovered somewhat, and then he was in Qadian with his daughter. He was blessed by taking the Bai'at in 1965 and entering into the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. After this, until his last breath, he would passionately be involved in preaching the message of Islam. His services to the faith span a period of 48 years.
सेक्रेटरी तबलीग कायद खुदाम अहमदिया
He served as Secretary Tabligh, Qaid Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, Nazim Ansarullah Bengal, Naib Amir and Amir Calcutta, and for a long period of time Provincial Amir Bengal and Assam. He was unable to serve in all his capacities. Similarly, the Preaching Supervisor of Bengal, the Anjuman Waqf Jadid Qadian member. He would publish the magazine Al-Bushra with great endeavor in the Bengali language, and he would post it to people himself. The respected Danzir Sahib Ala Qadian, Inam Gori Sahib, says that I have travelled with him numerous times to Assam and Bengal. Even in a dangerous environment, he would never desist from carrying out speeches and participating in the events. With me, 3 times in very perilous circumstances, Allah the Almighty provided the means of our safety. The cars and the luggage were damaged, but we remained safe. He would always take them to perilous places without any fear. Whenever I travelled with him, we would always relate the various blessings and signs of Allah the Almighty. During the era of the deceased, various Jamaats in Bengal and Assam were established. He was an extremely fearless person, greatly trusting of God, and lived a Darweshi lifestyle. He was a Musi, and he has been buried in Beheshti Maqbara Qadian. He leaves behind 3 daughters and 2 sons. One of his sons is perhaps known by almost every single member of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, Ismatullah Sahib, who recites poems at Jalsas, at other occasions, and also on MTA. May Allah the Almighty elevate the rank of the deceased, and may Allah the Almighty also enable his progeny and children to tread on the path of his pieties.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر